Hi everybody, welcome to Cooking with Gina. My name is Gina Virginia Casella. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Gina Virginia Casella. And I'd love for you to join my Facebook group, Dragon Dreams. So what am I cooking today? I don't know, but I did plan in advance. I've been wanting to cook with the snap peas, and the trick is to soak them in water a good, 6 to 8 hours before you even use them. I soaked them since last night when I went to bed. So how much? I don't know, this much. Rinsed them, and then I left them in water. So they definitely um, uh, I'm just distracted because a lot of them germinated, even though they're split in half. A lot of them germinated. I was holding one here to show you, but part of it just fell on the floor. But here's another one. That little tip. Pretty good, starchy tasting. But anyways, so I've never made lentil soup before. I'm gonna do it. Not new to the kitchen, but new to lentils and the vegan cuisine. Thank you for joining me. If you notice that I'm using anything that's not vegan, please let me know kindly in the comments and let me know what substitute to use. The one that I dropped on the floor, I think it rolled under the oven because I can't find it anywhere. Okay, so what am I going to do? I figure I'm just going to stir this around, add some water, get it boiling. I've also got an onion to chop up and toss in there. I thought about one potato, but I went for 2 potatoes, so I'm going to chop these up. I'm going to leave the skin on them, and I'm just going to also chop up this garlic and toss it in there. And I also have some tomato sauce to add. When it's ready, I'm going to put it in the blender and blend it. So I remember the first time that I made pumpkin soup, I didn't understand that you're supposed to blend it after. So it was just all the potatoes were kind of falling apart. It was still really tasty. But then I learned just over time that, oh, when you're making soups like this, you're supposed to blend them. And that's how you get that cream of mushroom, cream of broccoli kind of texture. Or when I make pumpkin pies, that's what I usually do is I'll blend the ingredients in the blender. I just have never done it with lentils before. So I'm hungry. I'm going to get busy. So I just wanted to show you Surrey yellow split peas. That's the name brand that I'm using. I'm not being endorsed by these companies, just sharing with you what I am using. I'm also drinking green tea from Lipton, just reusing this container from an old spaghetti sauce container that I had. So I just like to add 1 tea bag to it. And today I'm using green tea. And this name brand of tomato sauce is different than the other one I've been using, Molisana, and it's just strained tomatoes. So it's going to be great for my soup. So I just cubed these potatoes and I'm throwing them in my pot. I'm going to add the tomato and sauce and water last, just to make sure my bowl is not overflowing, my pot's not overflowing. Wonder if you can relate. I just like a few ingredients in soup, and I like it on the thin side. I like it when soup is nice and liquidy, and this soup today is going to be on the thicker, creamier side. So I'm wondering, how do you like your soup, and what's your strategy so your pot's not overfilling? Do you just get a big one out, or do you do like I'm doing, add the water last? Let me know in the comments. So I'm just chopping up my onion here. I find whenever it comes to adding onions, you can't have enough in soup or sauces. I like to add usually 2 if I can. It's just kind of standard. I've got, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 onions downstairs, and we're getting really cold, snowy, blowy weather today. Thankfully, I ran my errands yesterday, but I don't want to be out, and cooking with Gina is all about, it's just like camping kind of theme. So I'm not rushing out and buying anything. If I need it, I'll just substitute and make do without. And also being mindful about things like ingredients, like if it was beautiful summer weather, then yeah, maybe I would add a second onion and make sure that I hit the grocery store this weekend. But given the weather, well, you know what? It's just mindfulness about rationing things, and it makes me feel more in touch with nature, makes me feel more in touch with myself and seasonal cycles, and just having an appreciation for things, little things like when I can add an extra onion or not. It's really not going to make or break my soup. It's just a privilege, something that's available. And I'm wondering how you can relate in the comments. So when I look at my garlic, both of these just seem to start turning green out of nowhere. They're starting to germinate. Maybe I should start doing growing with Gina because my groceries are germinating. The yellow split peas. So what I'm going to do, because this is a soup, I'm just going to go right to town, cut this all up, really sloppy, just chop it and toss it in there because I know I'm going to be boiling it. For what it's worth, even though I know I'm going to be boiling it, I still want to, chop up the pieces relatively consistently about the same size. That way when it's ready, it's, nice and boiled. I'm going to keep one piece of garlic right here. Help me remember it's here because I want to make some toast to enjoy with this after. So I'm just going to get this ready and I'll be right back. Just wanted to tell you something funny while it's on my mind. So I ordered these boots for winter, and now that we're getting snow, it's like, okay, boots, I forget when you're coming in, but I hope you're coming in soon because some of the stuff wasn't available until a few months from now. But I thought I remembered my boots were coming in. So anyways, they finally came in. And, transitioning into the vegan lifestyle, I made it a point to make sure that they were fake suede, synthetic fibers, fake furs, fake animal skins, that kind of stuff. And anyways, they finally came in, but because we're having such snowy, blowy weather, I actually won't be wearing my boots outdoors because they're going to get ruined. So I didn't even think, like I learned those lessons back in my teenager years, like if you buy any kind of suede, whether it's, real or not, um, salt, sand, snow, those are not the right climates to be wearing those in. It doesn't matter what color. Typically I get black, but anybody who's had, like, I've seen personally black, blue, red, brown, different, shades of tan colors. And around the edges and the toe, it starts to, the color fades and it looks white. And so I just was having a laugh today with my mom because it's like, oh, finally my boots are in. But it's like, actually, I won't be wearing those outside. So I'm wondering if you can relate. And I haven't done cooking with Gina in about 2 weeks. The intention was just to take a week off. I wasn't feeling well. This time of year, I'm a seasonal person, but fall, spring, usually I find I need a lot of extra sleep. I wonder about you. I like to wake up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been waking up at like 6, 7 o'clock lately, so my whole routine is kind of off. But it is coming together. And speaking of routine, starting on Saturdays, I'm going to be going live on YouTube starting at 11 a.m. So I hope you catch me. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment. I'm going to just take care of this here. And, I feel like the food is speaking to me right now in the sense that when it comes to seasonal cycles, I was just doing a new moon gemstone reading last Saturday, actually. And something that's been coming up is sea turtle energy and how it's a 20-week cycle. And sea turtle energy, I mean, it comes up any time of year, but typically it comes up in the spring and in the fall. And it came up a number of times now in the fall, and it just reminds us to plant seeds now for the spring. And it also gives us reminders about how You might come last, but of course, never least. And there's a lot more to be said about it, but um, just passing on lessons as well, like that eagle condor energy. It's winter, it's cold. Even though I think the first official day of winter isn't until December 21st or something like that. We're still feeling it here in Canada, at least where I am. But it just made me think about things like when you see a ladybug in the fall or a hummingbird in the fall, that those are signs of good luck. And so I just feel like this, garlic that's trying to sprout, and the seed, yellow lent, whatever these are called, yellow snap peas, they're germinating. It's like, even though it's the season of dreams and the beauty prayer is closing in and we're in the death part of the life, death, life cycle, that there's still life. And it's just having a lot of moments like that lately. The more I step into my calling as a spiritual biz entrepreneur, just real appreciation for life. In past lives, what were you? Do you know? I was mostly non-human forms. I was like plants and trees, little insects, birds, that kind of stuff, chipmunks. And I don't actually have too much experience being a Homo sapien sapien. um, and there's just so much I want to share with you. And so I'm glad that I'm going live on Saturdays so we can finally do that. And let me just tidy this up and I'll be right back. So I will tell you more about the Saturdays in just a moment. I just wanted to chime in here, and I'm curious, how do you make soups? Like, what's your step 1, step 2 process? Does it matter what you're making? Typically, for me, it depends what I'm making, I guess. Like, typically, I like to boil the water and then, add the potatoes. But I find with my lentil and snap pea experience, which is limited, by the way, that you need to add the water first. And in this situation where I know I'm just going to be blending all the ingredients together, this is what I'm doing. This way here, where you just fill up the pot with everything and then you add water and boil it. I used to have a crock pot, and that was really great to do this kind of idea. You just fill it up and with everything, top it up with some water, and then you just let the good times roll. So, add my garlic. Okay. Now I'm going to just tidy up my hands and fix the camera. So I've never used this brand before. I'm sure it's going to be just fine. I'm going to get some more water. And maybe just one more bottle of water. It's like beer. It has a lot of foam. Okay. And I'm just going to put this here. Still getting used to this oven. All right. And I'm going to turn it on high. And there's high. Oh, you can't see. There's high on this side and there's high on this side. It's a 2-in-1 element. And I think I've got it on the right setting, so that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to bring this to a nice roaring boil, and then I'm going to reduce it and put the lid on. And once everything is nice and soft on the inside, that's when I'll take it out and I'll blend it. Okay. Whoop. Okay, so I'll just get that in a moment. I don't know if you can relate, but some folks, they really like their soup, like their potato kind of soups that they blend on the thick side. So it's more like a real thin mashed potato texture, if you will. But I'm intentionally aiming for something that's more liquidy and soupy, just in case you're wondering. So when all of this is done, I'm going to blend it up. So I found some baby bok choy in the fridge, and I just washed it there. It's holding the water pretty good. So my plan is, after I boil this and put it through the blender, then I'm going to add the bok choy on top, and whatever's left over is just going to get mixed in. So I'm just chopping up the bok choy here. And I also took the butter out because at some point I'm going to bake, not toast, but bake myself a couple slices of bread. And I'm going to put some butter and garlic on it. I'll show you how I do it. It's my favorite way to make garlic bread. These pieces here, there you go. I feel uncoordinated. It's only been 2 weeks since I've made a video with you, but I'm feeling a bit lost today. Okay. Just want to cut these, that way they fit inside my spoon. But also I intentionally want to leave it long and kind of fun, if you will, to play with. So that's it for now. So the Saturdays, Saturdays, 11 a.m. I go live every Saturday, and each Saturday is designated to part of the moon cycle. So last Saturday was the new moon, and I did a collective gemstone reading. This Saturday is the first quarter moon, which means the waxing moon, where it starts growing. The moon isn't growing, it just looks like that because the sun's reflection on it. And I'm going to be this Saturday using my singing bowl, so I'm really looking forward to it. And Eric, Council of Nine, is going to be joining me. We're still figuring it out, but basically, we want to each be a guest on each other's shows. So we're like co-hosting, and we're also a guest. We're also, so I'm going to be hosting him on my show, and simultaneously I'm going to be a guest on his show, and he's going to be hosting me, and simultaneously he's going to be a guest on my show. So so each Saturday it's only an hour, but the first quarter moon Saturday with Eric, Council of Nine, it's going to be 2 hours. So the first hour, I get all the attention. I'm going to take you on a guided journey using my sound bowl. So I'm really looking forward to that. And once we journey into the pine tree forest, the intention is that you and I connect there. We connect on a spiritual level, on a soul level. The characters, archetypes that are expressed in the dragon dreams, like Manus, for example, or Polaris, maybe you know them. If you don't, you can meet them. Maybe you have a different version of Manus or Polaris. Maybe you've already met them, but you call them something else. So it's going to essentially be us doing group channeling with the guidance of Eric, Council of Nine. So that's where, it's my show and he's a guest on it, helping to facilitate that channeling process. Channeling is something that I just do, and Eric, Council of Nine, is convinced that that's what I'm doing when I'm writing my dragon dreams. We work behind the scenes, and last year I spent a lot of time actually with Eric, Council of Nine, so he's very familiar with the Dragon Dream series. So he might talk about something that I haven't yet published yet. So don't hesitate to ask questions. If you wanted to pick up a copy of one of my books, you can, Amazon.ca. You can also get the Kindle, and Amazon's really good about delivering it within 1 to 3 days. But if you wanted to listen to the audios for free, you can on my YouTube channel at Gina Virginia Casala. And the idea is that as the Saturdays go by, at least the one with Eric Council of Nine, that we're going to be more tightly knit as a Dragon's Dream Soul Tribe community. So I'm really looking forward to that. And you definitely want to bring like a candle, incense, a journal to get all of your ideas down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to end it a little bit early, maybe just like 5 or 10 minutes early, because then the part 2, it's optional. And some people might want to join part 1, but not part 2. So anyways, like I said, Eric and I were still figuring it out, but basically part 2 is going to be, now we're out of the pine tree forest. We've closed sacred space officially. We're no longer like, I'm not in charge, if you will, anymore. And we hand it over to Eric. And then with Eric, we're not going to be opening up sacred space. We are going to be taking a deep dive into multidimensional channeling opportunities, and he'll be there to help guide us. And the intention is it's group channeling. So Eric and I, we've talked about this before, but like we both have been in situations where we've gone to group channeling events and the focus ends up being on like one person or 2 or 3 people just kind of get all of the attention. And we don't want that. We understand that sometimes one person might be more of a focus, or 2 or 3, but some people, they're just there to help hold energy. They don't want to participate. So we just want to be mindful. And I guess what I'm trying to say in a loving way is that this isn't an opportunity for you to be identifying false inhibiting beliefs and then for us to walk you through a transformational process. This is just like us connecting with spirit guides and as a group trying to hone in on our skills, channeling, connecting with our guides, and then doing like a part 2 with Eric Council of Nine. So your time with me is specific to the Dragon Dreams, the first hour. And then after the first hour, we could talk to anybody. It doesn't have to be specific to Dragon Dreams. And Eric wants to keep it a little bit too open for my liking. I like to do the opening and closing of sacred space, but Eric is also a firm believer that everything exists in the now, and if something needs to be communicated, that's will come through. So essentially, it doesn't matter what we have planned, we're going to do whatever comes through. So if it ends up turning into a spontaneous healing session for somebody, so be it, but that's not my intention. So anyways, that was the very long-winded version of it. And, making these videos, Cooking with Gina, I do them at 1 o'clock and then I post them. And I thought about doing it live, but then you would be on pause too long or waiting for me to do things like tidy up dishes in between. So anyways, yeah, I'm really looking forward to Saturdays. The first Saturday, like I said, was last Saturday. We focused on the new moon gemstone reading. This Saturday will be the first quarter moon, journey into the pine tree forest, and then part 2 with Eric Council of Nine taking the deep dive. And then the full moon next week, Saturday. What are we doing? I'm going to be pulling 3 cards from my Dragon Dream Oracle. So you can pick one, and then I'll let you know just a snapshot where you're at with the full moon. And then the 4th one, I'm really looking forward to. It's the last quarter moon, and that's going to be me doing some kind of mini lesson with you. So that's where I'm actually going to talk about like a morning routine or something like Cooking with Gina, and like how am I reaching my goals and maintaining them. You might do something like how to recognize your body as a dowsing tool, how to connect with nature, like talk to a tree, how to engage in fire ceremony, how to, respectfully open and close sacred space. So I'm going to be doing all of that for you. And this is all free, by the way. It's Saturdays, 11 a.m. And Eric and I, we want to get to know you. We want to build our soul tribe. And the intention, we're still figuring it out because I'm personally investigating different platforms. But it looks like I'll be offering some kind of tiered program. So the Saturdays will be free. And then, oh, finally, this is boiling. Ugh, remove it right from the element there. It's hot. There we go. I couldn't open it. Okay, I don't know what I was saying anymore, but I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm going to be offering a patronage. And if you're not familiar with what that means, it basically just means like it's a tier program. So, for example, tier one is like you belong to the membership, and Saturdays 11 a.m. it's free, and that's tier one. And then tier two is tier one plus you would get like a free healing session, not a free, a healing session for an additional cost. And then tier three would be tier one plus tier two plus some kind of like, I don't know, I was thinking, I just like sharing my thinking. I'm not making any promises here, but I am curious what you think. Something like each new moon, you would get an illumination, and each full moon, you would get an illumination, and each new moon, you would get an extraction. And then maybe like annually or seasonally, I would throw in something extra like soul retrieval. I don't know if you folks out there know this, but I'm part of Alberto Vallaldo's Shaman 21 community, the Four Winds. And I really connect with the power animals and everything he has to say. And I was thinking about it, like, how long have I been part of that community? And it was COVID-19. COVID-19, it might have been, you know, 2017, 18, I was, catching videos of him, but definitely 2019, 20, I signed up for the Shaman 21 membership. So I've been doing full moon ceremonies with them and new moon ceremonies with them. I get all kinds of fantastic information from Alberto Vallaldo and his wife Marcella. I also have opportunities to take all kinds of courses and learn about things. And so something that I would like to do is acquire the certification to be an energy worker for the Shamans 21 community. And I haven't done it. Why? Because of money. And that's something I'm working on. I know a lot of people out there can relate with money, but that's what I'm working on. Like, why am I going to let money stop me? Right? So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to be offering those services to you. So I've got this reduced to like 4. I'm still getting used to this oven. It's just way too hot. And I'm wondering if you can relate. That's okay, but I just don't want it overflowing on me. So clearly I've missed you, and I've got lots of information to share with you. I hope you've had an opportunity to catch me on Typical Skeptic. I'm going to be there. I don't know the time. I think it's Monday the 9th, and then like the next Monday. So definitely check that out on my Facebook. And looks like I'm going to have to make sure I don't skip cooking with Gina so I don't have all this overload of information to tell you. But different strokes for different folks. When it comes to talking about spirits, I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with it. But the part that gets me are, I don't even know what words to express anymore. Like I don't like saying evil spirits. I feel like there's some kind of mental illness going on there. And when I think about, you know, reality, like bad things really do happen to good people, and the good really do die young, those kind of things. Um, how does justice fit into all of this? How does soul connection, God fit into all of this? And they've really let a lot of that go. But for what it's worth, throughout my life, Up until a handful of years ago, I used to be really scared of the paranormal because nobody talked to me about it. And especially when it came to things like evil spirits or the ghosties, I couldn't handle it. And to this day, I still don't even watch scary movies. Um, I used to be really scared of them, and I didn't want like any influence at all. And these days, I just find a lot of them, it's like, um, there's too much like blood and gore, and I'm just not into that. I do enjoy the odd like psychological horror, if you will, every now and then. Um, like Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects. That was a good one to watch. It wasn't very bloody or gory. It was just the psychology behind it. Or what's another one? Will Smith's Legend. You know, that didn't have a lot of blood and gore, but the psychology behind it I thought was really terrifying. And another one I'm thinking of offhand is the movie Venom. Apparently, Venom 3 is out now. I had no idea. But that movie was scary, again, because the psychology behind it. And so, anyways, I'm wondering how you can relate. But what I wanted to say was going back to Alberto Villoldo and the Four Winds. Um, when I was a kid, I discovered Doreen Virtue when I was, I don't know, 12, 13 years old. And by the time I was 14, I was like reading her books and getting her tarot and stuff like that. And there really was nobody else, at least in Gina world, if you will, that I could connect with about stuff like that. And everything was categorized as new age. And I used to wake up in the middle of the night because I had a spiritual experience. Two angels came out of my wall, which I'm pretty convinced these days were ETs. That's a separate story, but it scared me. And so I would wake up and watch TV in the middle of the night, and the only thing that was on was, like Richard Simmons. And I just loved him. He had so many positive messages to share to everybody. Just giving this a stir here. And it's starting to smell really good. Uh, and I can tell some of it's kind of sticking at the bottom, so it's a good thing I'm getting in there. But anyways, yeah, like Richard Simmons would be on there, and he would always have like the best messages. And I remember being afraid to go to high school. Like I was only in grade like 2 when I was watching this, but I remember being afraid to go to high school, and maybe I would gain weight, and maybe I would want to ask a boy to dance, and he would reject me because of my body shape, or just feeling a lot of compassion for those women. um, he helped men too, but it was like women dominated. And I also really loved the oldies music, and so sweating with the golden oldies, it was just I really enjoyed Richard Simmons, I have to tell you. And nobody else talked about feelings like he did, like not to the depth that he did, and self-image and feeling good about yourself and eating right. And I remember he had like a bag of chips or cheesies or something like that, and he was saying, you eat something like this, and then what? Then you just feel empty, just like this bag. And I remember that metaphor really stuck with me. And it's true. And I think about that, like I'll pig out and I'm like, now I'm empty, just like this bag, or now I'm empty, just like this pizza box. and and so sometimes when I just want to like shove stuff in my mouth and I'm thinking about quick fix things, I'm like, no. And it actually goes back to Richard Simmons, because then I'm just going to feel empty. And you know. But anyways, I also watched a lot of Barbara. What's her last name? Carosa, and she talked about like the jellyfish family, the backbone family, and I forget the other kind of family, but it was like one family was like very flexible, let their kids do anything. One family was like the backbone family, and there was boundaries. And then the other family, it was like brick family. It was just way too strict. And so she would take you through these scenarios, like what would you do if got arrested, and you're the parent at home, and your kid's calling you and telling you like, I'm in jail, this is my one phone call. Like, what would you, the parent, do? And she would say, like, this is what the backbone family would do, this is what the jellyfish family would do, this is what the brick wall family would do. And It was really insightful, even though it was targeted for adults from a child's perspective. It was very insightful. And something else that would come on was exercise equipment. So people who had like Arnold Schwarzenegger bodies inspiring you to get a body like them. That was on in the middle of the night. And there was also random interesting shows like Alberto Villoldo. So this is where it loops back now. So when I was a kid, I didn't know who Alberto Villoldo was. And I didn't remember or hear about him until a handful of years ago when I joined the Shaman 21 community. So I don't remember him at all, but I do remember his story. And so basically, he was a boy. He was like 10 years old. And I don't remember all the details politically, what was going on, but it wasn't a good time. It was like a violent time. And his mom would basically, like a lot of mothers, hide all day with the children, and the fathers would go out. And his father left him with a loaded gun and told him, like, you sit here on this chair, and if somebody comes through that door, you shoot them. And he felt really cool and powerful with this loaded gun. And he shared how he would like load it, unload it, and, pretend somebody came at the door and ready to shoot and fire. And I was like 7 years old listening to this story. And then what ended up happening was there was a small group of men who actually came to the door and they started knocking on it. And reality for him set in, like, this is really scary. If that door opens, he's supposed to shoot somebody, and that means taking a life. It's also really scary that there's multiple folks outside, and this business of like the gun being cool, it's not cool anymore. And so he sent a really strong message about how violence isn't cool by telling his story, but also sending a message of peace, because one of the men peeked through the window and saw him and was literally like, said something like, well, there's nothing here. I guess we should be going on our way. And the men left. And that really stuck with him. And that experience was traumatic. And that was part of his journey, was going back and doing the inner child work and going through those motions. But anyways, I remember hearing that story. I guess whatever TV shows I was watching at that time was highlighting the Mayan culture and spiritual shows and story sharing. And I also watched a show. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like Rough Cuts, and it was children and preteens sharing their molestation stories. And so at with age 7, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and this is what I would watch, and it was really powerful to take it all in. So, anyways, life goes on, and now I'm in my late 30s, early 40s, and Alberto Villoldo starts coming up, Shaman 21 community, the power animals. I start making connections back to my childhood about this big snake that was in my dream, the python. I'm making connections to jaguar energy. Just everything is coming together for me, right? And I start learning about Alberto Villoldo, and I'm like, okay, he, is a shaman. He went to, I forget where, maybe it was Harvard, but he did his homework and he studied and he achieved his doctorate. Okay, good for him. But then he actually went into the Amazon, and I started remembering, oh yeah, I remember there was a man on TV when I was a kid who went into the Amazon, and then he retold the story about where he was a 10-year-old boy holding a gun, and it just all came back to me. And that's when I knew Alberto Villoldo and the Shaman 21 community were part of my soul tribe and part of my journey, because there's much more to say, but I started participating and signing up for these like 3-week classes, that courses that were being offered. And you can get together on Zoom and share experiences. And I actually started bawling. And I was telling the community that, everybody shares all these happy, fluffy experiences, if you will, and mine are like really raw and scary. And I don't have anybody to talk to about that. Um, and it just made me feel really reassured that I was in the right place, because that's exactly what it's like when you're working with the spirit world and other dimensions. It is scary. It's unfamiliar to us, and we all have these things, these psychic abilities that are our ways of knowing, and things like co-dreaming and remembering. All that stuff that Alberto talks about resonates with me, and so um, I'm going to take his training. Full disclosure, as you know, it's public knowledge. I resigned from my teaching career, and this is what I'm doing now. So I'm just reshuffling, my routine, getting it together, creating space, opening space, closing some space as I sort and shuffle around. And I was thinking, okay, so I'm going to get my teacher's pension the end of February, early March, and it's really not a lot of money, um, which just kind of is separate conversation, but it just really made me uh, rethink about different ways that I could have invested my money. Like maybe I could have bought a house in an area or something like that, and benefited more financially. Like I said, it's a separate conversation. Um, but it would cover the cost of the energy medicine training. And what's unfortunate is um, you can go to Chile to take it in person for an entire month, or you can do it online. And I think it's like 6 months. But by the time my money shuffles through, I won't make the due date. And so I feel the 6 month course will probably be better for me. You can finish it as soon as you want, but they suggest taking 6 months. Um, I think it might be better for me that way. I can really resonate with things. I like to resonate. I don't know about you. And anyways, that's the direction of my life. So I'm really stepping into this spiritualism. So I'm excited, and just having the 4 Saturdays available is gonna be really helpful. And I think I'm just kind of over talking now, but I'm going to let this finish boiling. And thanks for listening to me. And I'm wondering, do you know who Alberto Villoldo is? And who do you go to when you're scared of the ghosties? I thought it was really cool when Alberto pulled out a tarot deck one day, and it was one that he created. And it was just like, oh my God. Like, usually I'm not like, oh my God, but I was like, oh my God, because I don't know any other spiritual teachers, leaders, at least in Gina world, that does that. And I was like, ooh, that's like taboo, pulling out tarot cards, oracle cards. And I felt really inspired, which is why it pushed me actually to create my Dragon Dreams Oracle, because I bought his deck, and I was like, you know what, like it's time for me to make my own. Um, anyways, I'm really looking forward to these Saturdays, and I'm looking forward to being more consistent on cooking with Gina, so that I don't have these big long messages to give you. Let me know how you can relate. And just off the top of my mind, Alberto Villoldo, Kedra Golson, Patty Negree, those are folks, and Teal Swan, those are folks that I'll Google at random if I want to find out information about something that might be scaring me. I guess I see them as an authority. Again, this is from my Gina schema world, how I grew up, and I really benefited from watching Gaia. But when it comes to like the scary stuff, um, those are folks that I feel comfortable and confident listening to. And I'm wondering about you, and I hope to be one of those folks. because I already am. It's just a matter of getting it together, and that's what I'm doing now. So anyways, I'm just going to pause this and I'll be back when it's actually time to blend this up. I wanted to share with you too, you know, so one of the reasons I didn't take the energy training medicine years ago was because of money, but also because shamanism is something that you can't just put in a box and package and market it. And now you go through the lessons and yay, check off list, you're a shaman. Like that's not how it works. So I really wanted to make sure that I knew what I was getting into. And so I feel really good and confident about stepping into this. And I also really struggled. There's different words out there like neo shamanism. All of that goes over my head. But for what it's worth, like when I think about a shaman, I think about somebody who, is missing some teeth, most of their teeth. I think about somebody who's on the skinny side. I think about somebody who is basically 24/7 out in nature doing something, making some kind of plant medicine or gardening or some kind of something to do with ways of knowing. And I also picture them wearing, limited clothing. Like somebody who looks like a tribal member is what I picture. Somebody indigenous looking. And I also picture them shamans like way out in the middle of ass fuck nowhere. Like there is no name. They just invent their own names for the communities because that's how rural they are. Like we might call it, a certain country, but they call it their own. They have their own map, if you will. But something else, I also think about shamans as folks who don't go to the dentist, who don't get vaccines, somebody who doesn't use a toilet. They just go out in nature to the bathroom. But shamanism, that's not the modern shaman today. And for myself personally, I was being judgmental about that initially, anyways. I had an attitude, if you will. And looking back, I feel like that was part of my refusing the call. I was finding reasons not to pursue this. And so I'm out of reasons, so I'm going to pursue it. And I genuinely want to, and I'm excited. And it's been a while since I've been excited about something, and I'm pumped up. So there you go. So the potatoes are starting to get soft now. I feel like that's all I'm waiting for. What I'm going to do is I got the butt pieces, the end pieces of bread. This is Wonder Bread, name brand. Folks I live with, they love their Wonder Bread. Me, I usually get the Equate or the Great Value, the No Name, whatever it is, of the whole wheat bread. And I also like to get sourdough bread, just whatever the store bakes. And I also really love like Italian loaves and French loaves. And so it's one thing to go vegan, but to go like a non-bread diet, I don't know if I could do that, So what I'm doing is I'm baking the bread at 400. If you wanted to toast it or broil it, you can. But for myself personally, I like it baked. So when it's crisping up, I will be right back, and we'll put some butter and garlic on it. So I just gave the soup a little taste test. And, I keep grabbing the camera to move the whole thing, but if I just grab the light, it's a lot easier. So help me remember that. I find the soup totally needs salt. So I'm just going to add salt now. Folks that I live with may or may not have a bowl, but I think it's just going to be me eating it. Usually I don't like to add salt or pepper because I know I'm going to add it to my individual bowl. Ugh. There we go. And this is Kirkland name brand, in case you're wondering. And I feel like it could use even some more pepper. All right, so just going to give that a little bit more, and looking forward to blending this up. I'm getting really hungry now. So my bread is lightly baked. It's really, really hot. So what I'm going to do is I just take my garlic and I just rub it right on. It's the best way to have garlic bread, in my strong opinion. I'm wondering, what is your favorite way? So, so basically, the hard, scratchy combination is peeling, shredding the garlic onto it, so it's slowly disappearing. Um, at some point, there's nothing like it's soft, so there's nothing hard to scratch any more garlic off. So what you can do is you can just turn it over. There's not much to scratch on these end pieces, but on a regular piece of bread, you can do the other side. You don't have to overthink it. So that's just left over. Take the earth balance. I don't know if I told you this yet, but this is Earth Balance Original that I'm using. Um, when you put it in the fridge, it's like really hard, but it doesn't take long to cool down. I mean, to soften up. And that's it, folks. That's my garlic bread. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it. That way I can dip it. Or if I want to, I guess I could, like croutons, just put it in. I remember when I first moved out on my own, when I went to university, I would just buy a loaf of bread. I wouldn't buy like any kind of special bread for anything. And I thought I was like true chef extraordinaire, making garlic bread with just regular bread and putting it in Caesar salad. I was like, whoa, I'm so creative doing this. I'm wondering if you can relate. And it's all those tips and tricks that are coming in handy these days in my early 40s. So yeah, I'm 43. How old are you? Let me know in the comments. I was born in 81. You're the rooster. So I just wanted to share with you. See, I need to make sure I don't miss cooking with Gina. Otherwise, I got too much to tell you. But I wanted to ask you if you have any special routines that you do every day, not just seasonally. And I started a routine. Well, for a long time now, for years, I take a little sip of water in the morning. I go to bed with my mason jar. And I have a rule, like before I wake up in the morning, this water needs to be gone. And I intentionally leave just a little sips so I can connect with the water first thing in the morning. And but something that I do now too is in the morning when I'm getting my water is I fill up one of these in the morning so I have water. But now I'm filling up two of these and I'm leaving one by the window and I'm blessing the bottles of water and I'm thanking the water for keeping me hydrated. And so it's blessed water that I'm drinking. And then every time I drink it, I think about that when I drink it. So I'm wondering about you. Okay, so I got my soup in here. Is this recording? Yep, it's recording. So I've got my soup in here. The lid is on. Um, let's and I still got less than half a pot too. So I'll just blend this up. So I'm gonna pour it in this bowl here. And I feel like that is good enough. Oh. So it's nice and creamy coming out. And I'm just going to, over the sink, pour the rest of this pot in here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this liquid into my pot here. Whoa. Put this on. Okay, so this is going to need, the first batch was a bit more liquidy, so okay. Potato or something stopped making its way. It sounds like there might be a potato or something stuck in there. We will see. I know you can't see this. You'll just have to be patient. Yep, there's nothing stuck in there. So this is my soup here. It's nice and thick. It's a little thick for me personally, but whatever. If I wanted to, I could add some water. What I'm going to do now is just add my bok choy while it's nice and hot. And I guess what I could have done is just added it to the individual bowl, but whatever. And then just salt, pepper to taste. So this was once upon a time, lentils and potatoes, onions, garlic, and now it's all mixed together. And I can't wait to have a bowl. So might as well get a bowl together right now. Oh yeah. And this is my first time making lentil soup. And probably we'll have to add more lentils next time, but anyways, let me just tidy up here and I'll be right back for my favorite part. And I think it's your favorite part too, the tasting. I almost forgot to turn the camera on. So this is my favorite part, the tasting part. And because I put the tomato sauce, it's not yellow looking, but I would like to make a lentil soup in the future that's like just yellow, not lentil, yellow snap pea. So it has a nice texture. It's really steamy hot. Mmm, it's really good. It's really tomatoey, and you can really taste the potatoes in there. There's like an earthy taste mixed in. I think that's probably the lentils or the snap peas. It's really good. It's kind of weird eating soup that this in this texture, at least for me. Hmm. Bok choy is really nice in there, and it's pretty good. Pretty good. Hmm. Hot, steamy hot. And now I'm going to go for my garlic bread. Mmm. Really, really good. And this is perfect soup for a day like today. I think I need a bigger spoon and a bigger mouth for sure. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. Well, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for watching Cooking with Gina. Cooking is something that brings me joy, something that's always come naturally and easily to me. And I'm feeling appreciative that you're joining me through my um, beginner ways of knowing with the vegan lifestyle as I transition into it. Again, if you notice I'm using something that isn't vegan, please let me know kindly in the comments and let me know something to use as a substitute. I'm always looking for the latest vegan cheese or milk. Cheese in particular has been ongoing. Something that does not stick to my teeth when I melt it. Um, that's what I'm on the hunt for. And you also feel grateful that you listen to me so much talking about just my hopes and dreams and how they're manifesting and all of my updates that I have for you. And I'm looking forward to Saturdays, 11 a.m. You can catch me live on YouTube. And this Saturday in particular, Eric Council of Nine will be there. Simultaneously, we're going to be hosting and simultaneously be a guest on each other's show. So I hope to see you. Again, my name is Gina Virginia Casella. Thank you so much for watching Cooking with Gina on YouTube. I'd love for you to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Gina Virginia Casella. You can join my Facebook group, Dragon Dreams, and I would just adore if you purchased one of my books from the Dragon Dreams series. You can find it on Amazon.ca, and I can't wait to publicly announce when I'm going to have a Patreon group or whatever that you can register for. So we're officially making our time together a bit more special, having it carved out, if you will, into a schedule. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I guess I'll see you next time. See you tomorrow.